On purpose! It's all part of their plan to ruin our musical. And Troy and his basketball robots are obviously behind it.
There are rumors that Disney is deciding to move forward with High School Musical 4. One thing that absolutely needs to happen is bringing back some of the original cast members. That's just something fans have been holding out hope for. The Disney Plus series High School Musical: The Musical the Series did a decent job of roping in a few familiar faces like Lucas Grabeel, who played Ryan, and Monique Coleman, Taylor for fun guest appearances. But let's be honest, the majority of the fan base is still dreaming about a full-on movie reunion. There's a strong emotional connection to the core characters from the original trilogy, especially Troy, Gabriella, Sharpay, and Chad. It's worth remembering that both Vanessa Hudgens and Ashley Tisdale showed up for the 10-year reunion event, which was a pretty big deal for fans, and Zac Efron has continued to express appreciation for the franchise in his own way. He even posted a nostalgic throwback from East High on Instagram once, which sent fans into a frenzy.
So is that a yes?
In every language. We, see, yeah, yes. Oh, come on!
But even though there's still some public love for the franchise, making another sequel would heavily rely on these actors coming back, and as more time passes, that gets harder to pull off. Let's be real, the original High School Musical movies are legendary for a reason. The first one came out in 2006 and just completely blew up. It became a pop culture sensation almost overnight. What made it work so well wasn't just the catchy songs or the choreography, but the fact that it captured this universal experience of growing up, finding your voice, and balancing who people expect you to be with who you really are. That mix of basketball games, chemistry class, and unexpected duets resonated with a whole generation. By the time High School Musical 3's senior year rolled around, Disney had realized just how big this franchise had become. That's why it got a theatrical release instead of premiering on the Disney Channel like the first two. It wasn't just another TV movie anymore, it was a full-on event. The film ended up making around $250 million at the box office, which is insane when you consider its budget was only about $11 million. That kind of return just proves how much fans still cared, even in the third installment. And it wasn't just the movie doing numbers, the music was a hit too. The soundtrack for High School Musical 3 jumped right onto the Billboard 200 and climbed all the way up to number 2. It stuck around on the chart for 37 weeks, which is no small feat. Earlier soundtracks from the first two movies actually hit number 1, and in the case of the first film, it topped the charts multiple times. So if Disney ever dropped High School Musical 4, you can bet it wouldn't just sell out theaters. It would top Spotify playlists and hit Billboard again too. But here's where things get tricky. Trying to find a storyline that makes sense for these characters over a decade later is going to be a challenge.
Wish it would all just slow down. To a stop.
We're gonna graduate. That's going to happen. Nothing is gonna slow down.
Troy and Gabriella have already graduated and gone their separate ways. The whole point of the original story was high school life, so where do you take it when they're full-blown adults now? That's why High School Musical: The Musical the Series went in a different direction, creating a sort of meta world where students at East High put on a staged version of the original movie. It was clever and gave us a few nods to the past without trying to force the same story to continue. Still, even though the series leaned heavily on nostalgia, it never felt like a full replacement for a real fourth movie. Fans still want the continuation even if it looks a little different than what we saw before. After all, Hollywood has been thriving on reboots and nostalgic sequels lately. Projects that revisit fan-favorite properties years later have been doing surprisingly well, especially if they know how to strike a balance between honoring the original and introducing something new. So what could High School Musical 4 actually look like? Well, it doesn't have to follow the exact same formula as the earlier movies. In fact, it might work even better if it blends old and new, like showing where Troy, Gabriella, Sharpay, and the others ended up, while introducing a brand new group of East High students. This way, you get the nostalgia factor while also giving younger viewers characters they can relate to right now. Think of it like Cobra Kai did with The Karate Kid. Keep the original cast in the loop, but let a new generation take the spotlight too. And speaking of fresh faces, one really fun way to make High School Musical 4 stand out would be to bring in new talent that's already beloved by younger audiences. Someone like Madeline Klein, for instance, could be a fantastic addition. She's already proven her acting chops in Outer Banks and could play a former East High student returning as a music teacher, dance coach, or even a successful alum helping put on a big school musical. Her inclusion could pull in a whole new audience and give the movie an extra spark. Plus, mixing her in with legacy cast members could lead to some really fun interactions. Imagine her character trying to wrangle the new students while Sharpay swoops in with over-the-top advice, or Troy drops in for a surprise basketball coaching session. There are so many directions you could take it, and it would make the movie feel fresh while still rooted in the original spirit. Another idea is to center the story around East High celebrating its 25th anniversary, or putting on a Decades of Musicals showcase. That would give everyone a reason to return. Maybe Gabriella comes back as a guest speaker, Troy gets invited as an honorary alumni coach, and the school's drama department recruits Madeline Klein's character to direct a new original musical. You could even have a storyline where one of the current students is secretly the child of a former East High couple, which adds a bit of mystery and connects everything in a deeper way. Of course, getting Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens on board is the biggest hurdle. Since High School Musical 3, they've both been booked and busy. Hudgens consistently works on 3 to 4 film projects each year, and Efron takes on even more, sometimes 6 or 7 projects annually. Plus, Efron is regularly traveling for his Netflix docuseries Down to Earth, which keeps him bouncing all over the globe. So scheduling a reunion could be tough, but fans are still holding out hope. And honestly, if Disney plays their cards right and comes up with a strong script, it might not be that hard to convince them. Both of them have mentioned in interviews how special the franchise was for them, and they've never really distanced themselves from their High School Musical days. So if the story is meaningful and there's room to grow their characters, they might just say yes. At the end of the day, High School Musical 4 might feel like a long shot, but it's definitely not impossible. Nostalgia is powerful, and Disney has shown time and again that they know how to capitalize on it. Between the box office potential, soundtrack sales, and fan excitement, there's a lot of incentive to bring the Wildcats back one more time. The key will be finding the right story, balancing the old with the new, and locking in at least a few core cast members. So although it's been a while since we heard the words "we're all in this together" echo through the halls of East High, there's always a chance they'll ring out once again, just with a fresh twist, a few new voices, and maybe a couple surprise duets along the way. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.